Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I want to show you or share with you my favorite piano technique books or studies from beginners to intermediate and some advanced books as well. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and make sure to check the notifications bell to never miss a new video. Also, if you enjoy this video, give us a like. So when you play piano, obviously technique is a very big part of it, not just the emotions, but also technique. And technique basically refers to different kind of challenges in piano playing, not necessarily memorizing notes, but playing things that your hands are not used to, like articulation, staccato, legato, coordination between the two hands, combining different rhythms and coordination between the two hands, playing one thing or one rhythm in one hand and something completely different in the other hand, and having full control over that. So in order to develop these skills, we learn not only pieces and repertoire, we also learn technical studies and finger exercises which are more efficient at mastering these skills. Now, some people say that you can learn everything from pieces. That might be true for some people, but also I think there is a very fine line between piece and technical exercises, as you see in some of these books. Many advanced or intermediate technical books can easily be called repertoire books because the pieces are so pretty that you could perform them as a piece, and many pianists perform them on concerts and different recitals. But the very beginning stages of piano playing is mostly finger exercises and very easy exercises that focus on one technical challenge, and once you master that, you go on to the next one. So these exercises are not designed to be practiced for weeks or months. They are supposed to be done for a week or two, and then you get another one, you do another one, and then every week you can focus on a different technical aspect of piano playing. So that was my introduction to what technique is and why we need technical books. So I'm going to start with the very beginning stages, and then I will mention some advanced books in the end. Now, if you are learning from a method book, then chances are the method book has a technical book as well. So if you do Piano Adventures, Alfred's Basic Course, Hall Leonard's Piano Library, they all have lesson book, sight reading book, repertoire book, theory book, and technique book. So you can follow those, but if you don't want to buy the technique books for those piano methods, or if you want something that's been specifically written for technical studies, then you should have a look at these suggestions. Now, these are not the only books, these are my favorite books, and I think these are some of the most popular books that you can find in the piano world, but of course they are not the only option. Now, when I start teaching piano to very small kids, I usually start with this book series, which is called A Dozen a Day. And this is my absolute favorite for young beginners or adult beginners. Now, don't be put off by the drawings. If you're an adult, you can still benefit from these books a lot. Now, the first one starts with extremely simple exercises that you can teach to a complete beginner in the very first few weeks of piano playing. It's only like 3-note scales and just some staccato notes. And for each exercise, you've got a little drawing which is trying to show what you're doing with your body when you're playing these exercises, and they are really short. You can learn at least 2-3 in a lesson, practice them for a week, then go to the next page, and so on, and they are put into groups. Now, I think it has 5 series. I've only used the first 3, which is the pink, blue and green one, because once you get to the more advanced sections of this series, I think there are much better options that you could use which sound more like a piece as opposed to an exercise, because the exercises which are in the more advanced, not this one, in the orange book, the exercises in the more advanced books are hard enough that you could actually play a nice piece which has the same kind of difficulty in it. Hope that makes sense. So when it comes to these books, before grade 1 or even with grade 1, I would use the first 3 from this, the pink, blue and green books. These are my first go-tos. Once the student is at grade 1 level, I would start introducing CZERNY. Now, I know many people hate CZERNY because it doesn't sound very exciting, but I still think that these pieces are enjoyable if you play them nicely, and they are quite easy to learn, and you can do so many, and they all focus on different technical challenges. And this book, which is CZERNY 599, the practical method for beginners on the pianoforte, I think this is the most popular one. This is good from kind of grade 1 to, I would say, grade 4 maybe. Now, when I teach from these books, I never do all of them because many of the exercises are very similar inside the book. So I would pick from each section one that kind of is the nicest and also teaches the most. And if I see 3-4 exercises next to each other which are very similar, I of course wouldn't bore the student with all 4 of them because it's kind of pointless. Now, if you like CZERNY, then this book has another version, which is CZERNY for the Young Pianist, Opus 823. Now, these 2 books are almost completely identical. I mean, the pieces are different, but each piece is kind of focusing on similar technical challenges, and they are both progressive, so they start with the easiest going to the hardest, and they kind of cover the same range of difficulties. So whichever you prefer, or whichever you have, they are both in the public domain, so you can download them from IMSLP. Now, if you want to stick to CZERNY, once you finish those books, there is a nicer one, which is the School of Velocity, which is Opus 299. And this one is a lot more advanced. Now, they are very repetitive exercises, but they actually sound quite nice when played up-tempo. And these are suitable from grade 4 all the way up to grade 8, depending on how fast you play them. Again, I would never do all of these pieces with anyone, but just pick the nicest ones or the favorite ones. Now, there is some controversy with this book because the tempo marks indicated in the book are unachievable by even the best pianists in the world. So normally people, when it says minim equals 100, you just play it crotchet equals 100. Especially for a grade 5 student, you would never even try minim equals 100 because it's way too fast. I don't think even historians can agree on what the correct tempo was, because these books were written right after the metronome was invented, and there was a kind of a debate about what a beat is. Is it 2 clicks or 1 click? Anyway, I don't want to get into that, but just take the tempo markings with a pinch of salt. Moving on, here is the book that I talked about in one of my videos, the HANON book. I wouldn't buy this book for anyone because I just don't like it so much, but there are 2 reasons why you could look into this book. The first one is it has some nice finger exercises which get your fingers to move. There are so many in it and they are so similar that I would never do all of them. It's just way too boring, and they are very repetitive. Again, if you play them for a long time, it's very difficult to make them enjoyable unless you love doing scales and finger exercises. But a few of them could be beneficial because they strengthen certain fingers that might not get strengthened in certain songs at that level. The second thing that is extremely beneficial for if you don't do ABRSM exams or RCM exams or any kind of institutional exams, then you might not have books and requirements for scales. And this book has all the scales and arpeggios in all keys, so it's a perfect kind of reference point if you want to learn your scales but you're not doing exams. And again, this is in the public domain, so you can download it for free and put it onto your iPad, and there are lots of editions of it if you want to buy it. Next one in the line is BARTOK, Bela Bartok's For Children. Now, this one has 2 volumes. The first one is based on Hungarian songs and the second one is based on Slovakian songs, like folk tunes. Now, these songs are kind of quirky sounding, and by that I mean they don't sound very usual, or they don't sound very classical, and they don't sound like pop music. It's kind of that 20th century sound when music started to become more experimental, but they are still kind of pretty, most of them, and I think they are very interesting and enjoyable to play. Now, this is the first book which kind of merges repertoire and studies, because although these can be thought of as studies because there are so many different technical challenges, especially on articulation and coordination in these books, they are very nice pieces to play as a performance piece, and very often they are featured in the ABRSM and RCM exams, so you can play them for your exams as well. And it's a big volume, and you can use it from grade 1 all the way to grade 5. So if you buy it and you're a beginner, you can use it for a very long time, just like the CZERNY books. But these ones I would say are more interesting than the CZERNY exercises, and some of them are nicer, but it's a very, very different sound. The most difficult aspect of this book is articulation and coordination between the two hands. You'll see lots of slurs and tenuto marks, staccatos, and they just come after each other, so you have to be very careful with articulation. My other absolute favorite is Burgmuller's Opus 100, which is 25 progressive studies. Now this is again similar to Bartok. It's a technical book, but the songs are so pretty that you can perform them anywhere, and it's easily a performance book as well. So you can't say that you're only learning from pieces, you don't need technical exercises, because these are pieces, they feature in exams, but you can think of them as technical exercises because each piece was written with a specific technical difficulty in mind. Now this one has 25 progressive songs. I love all of them, and I try to give as many to my students as I can, and they are more romantic sounding than the CZERNY ones, which are more kind of classical sounding. The first one I would say is around grade 1, grade 2, and it goes up to grade 5. So it's good for beginners and intermediate, and again you can use it for quite a long time. Now when you mastered this one, there is a second one. There we go. So Burgmuller's 18 Characteristic Studies, which is Opus 109. And this one follows the idea in the first book, but it's much more difficult songs, more challenging technical issues in them. And of course they are nicer at the same time, because when something is harder, it's usually nicer as well. We just perceive it as nicer. So these ones are okay from grade 5 all the way to grade 7, maybe grade 8 as well, but I don't think there's anything as difficult as grade 8 in this book, so it's a good follow-up after the first Burgmuller. If you liked those songs, you're going to love these ones as well, but again, they're a lot harder. Both of these books are in the public domain, so you can access them for free, but they are very good editions with lots of nice commentary in them, so find the one that's best for you. Another one here is Heller 20 Miscellaneous Studies. Now this is a collection from Opus 45, 46, 47, 81, 90 and 125. Now this man, just like CZERNY, wrote so many studies. He has loads of books, so this one is a selection of the most popular ones. You can get this book, or you can get each individual book and just select a few, because there is too many studies to learn and many of them are very similar. But again, these studies feature quite a lot in exams because they are nice as standalone pieces. So although they are called studies, they are beautiful songs and you can perform them anywhere. These are harder, they're kind of grade 4, grade 5 level. Some of them are grade 6. So it's more intermediate level, but again, a very nice collection that you could use for a couple of years. Now, Schumann's album for the young is very similar to Heller and Bartok. And this one, again, is a collection of songs kind of from grade 1 all the way to grade 5, so good for beginners to intermediate. It's a nice collection, very pretty romantic songs with different technical challenges, good as standalone pieces, you can perform them, and again they feature quite a lot in exams. Now both of these books are of course available in the public domain as they're very old, so you can access them for free, but some editions are better than others. Now let's come to something more interesting, to Bach. Now you wouldn't think of Bach as technical exercises, but they are, because they teach you one of the most essential technical challenges in piano playing, which is counterpoint, playing different things in the two hands, independent melodies. And many of these other books don't really focus on that because it wasn't so popular after the Baroque period. The first one that I would suggest is the Little Keyboard book or the Anna Magdalena book. They're both very similar. This one is a selection from that and some other books. The Anna Magdalena book is the collection that was titled Anna Magdalena, but if you want something challenging and something like the Bible of musicians, then you should get the 2-part Inventions by Bach. So this one is more grade 4 and above, and this one is before the Symphonias, which are 3-part. This one is 2-part, so you basically in every song you're playing 2 melodies, one in each hand, and the 2 melodies make up a beautiful piece, and they are in different keys. and they are again very often featured in grade exams. The last one that I want to talk about is the Chopin Etudes. Now this one, nobody really thinks of them as easy technical exercises because they are the most challenging pieces in the piano world, and they are very difficult pieces to play, and I think all of them are above grade 8 level. But if you're an advanced pianist, or if you are around grade 7, 8 and you want to try something very challenging, then you should have a look at the Chopin Etudes. They are amazing, and this is a collection of Opus 10 and Opus 25, 24 Etudes. All of them are masterpieces, but they are extremely hard, and most of them focus on one technical challenge. It's like arpeggios or chromatic movements and so on. And there's another one which is similar to this, the one by Liszt. So both of them are really difficult but very pretty. And this is again an example of when people say that you don't need technical books, you just play pieces, and they refer to these pieces which are essentially studies, but they are so nice that they are actually pieces. So these were my suggestions from the very beginning to the very advanced stage for piano studies. There are so many other books that you can have a look at, but these ones are the most popular ones, and these ones are most likely to show up in your exams if you want to do any kind of piano exams. And they are progressive, and they are very well structured. So if you don't want to just jump from one book to the other and try to figure out yourself what level the pieces are, then these ones are well researched, and if you go anywhere online you'll find the level of each piece exactly, because they are very often played everywhere. So this was my video on technical studies and etudes. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and let me know if you would like to see other videos about books and suggestions for different piano scales. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, subscribe for more.